Hello, folks. Welcome to an edition of The Big Picture. We're looking at very many issues, including one that's really on the lips of millions of Kenyans and possibly, thousands to millions of Indians as well. This controversial public-private partnership deal between the ADANI Group and the Kenya Airports Authority, shorthand obviously for the Kenya government, to refurbish and redevelop parts of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
After this ADANI story, I don't know how I will come back because now my life is at risk when I come back.
Are you in hiding or it's open where you are?
Because I'm fearing for my life, I cannot say a lot of things, like my plans. Obviously, I cannot speak about this publicly, but I'm making plans, obviously, to be safe.
Nelson, we're going to get into this, plus the safety issues in a minute. But here on The Big Picture, what we want to be doing is talking about issues that I think are of concern, both to Kenyans, but to our audience across the world. With us, our guest, coming to us all the way from Paris, France, is a person who first brought this to the attention of the Kenyan public, Mr. Nelson Amenya. Nelson, you are live on The Big Picture. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here today. Thank you, John Allen, for this invite. And I'm happy to speak about this pressing issue that is concerning our nation and many other issues, and to chat about good governance and where we are heading as a country. I feel like we are heading in the right direction.
Even with this discussion that we're about to have on ADANI, ADANI is a corporate. It's a corporate conglomerate that has, it spans all over India. And some of the practices that we've seen, if you're referencing the Hindenburg Group report, is just ridiculous in terms of malfeasance. But I wanted to ask you a slightly different question. Given that we've been talking about Gen Z, quote unquote, mandamano over the past couple of months, you're firmly in that demographic, right? Are you thinking about coming back to this country, and what hope do you have given this kind of culture and these systemic issues that you're seeing in sport, you're seeing it elsewhere? Are you planning to come back and kind of work on the problems in your country as well?
This was my initial idea. Actually, I will give you a very short, funny story. So I have a friend, just before I came to France, we were chatting, and I was telling her how I want to, to go to France, finish my MBA, have these great skills and knowledge, and come back and try to, make things different, especially in government and in our governance, for example. And then I don't know what I said, and she got mad. Then she told me that, when you come back, you will just come and join the corrupt system and become corrupt like the rest. And this is exactly, what most people have been subjected to. You have so much hope. You want to come back to your country, help your country to develop, put systems of constraints, so that people do not steal money, do not corrupt, and, all these systems to change. And then when you go back, you are swallowed by the same system and you become exactly like the people you wanted to change.
Great segue for us to now talk about why you're here today. So just a quick summary for everybody. In March 2024, the government says that it received a private investment proposal from the ADANI Group, from I think it's ADANI Airport Holdings, right, to redevelop and refurbish the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, build some taxiways, run and maintain the airport for about 30 years. And the details of the deal are, excruciating to just look at. If you're looking at it from the point of, or from a nationalistic point of view, on the one hand, but on the other, with certain members of parliament like Jalango coming out saying, what's the problem? These guys, we can't run our shop on our own. We've got these guys who've come in and offer to do so, and it's not something that isn't standard practice globally. Why not let the ADANI Group then manage and run airports. After all, they're running 6 airports. Is it 6 or 7 airports in their own country? And the person who brought this to our attention is seated miles away from me, but right in front of me here virtually, Nelson. My first question is really around just the appreciation of what you were looking at when you then got this leak. Just walk us through what stages of a disbelief or what emotional arc go through when you were reading the documentation that was presented to you.
So when I read the documentation, to be honest, I didn't really think it's a big deal. I thought this is just a normal proposal. Probably it's something good because we all want a new airport. Kigali is building one, Ethiopia is building one, so why not us? So to be honest, I didn't have any bad feeling about the proposal. I had not known so much about ADANI, so it wasn't an alarm to me. So I took the documents, went through the proposal, the PIP itself. So when I was going through the PIP, I started to realize that this thing is one-sided. It's completely one-sided. So I began to ask questions, with my sources, asking them, why is this like this? Why is this not like this? Because I have done a bit of finance in my MBA. When I look at the ALG report, it tells me that they recommend in the PPP Act, there are procurement methods, and ALG, which was the transaction advisor, they recommend the competitive bidding. But when you go to the ADANI proposal, they say that PIP is the best method of procurement. And the reason they gave is, I actually laughed because they said the reason why PIP is the best is because competitive bidding takes too long. This is $2 billion we are talking about, and we are talking about 30 years. And to top it all off, this is JKIA. This is not some small business.
I have a question on that. Who said that it would take too long?
It's in the proposal. The ADANI guys said this was the justification for, you have to justify why you're using any method other than competitive bidding. You have to justify why. When this act was repealed in 2021, they added these controversial procurement methods. And I think some lawyers came out at that time, but at that time, we didn't really understand, the implications of these enactments of parliament. So, sometimes parliament does something, but to the common person, if someone does not explain to you what they're doing, you will not realize it until the day they use it, like when now they use this PIP procurement method. That's when we realized, these guys actually, they repealed this law so that they can do this. Because if they were going to do competitive bidding, ADANI for sure would never have passed.
No, but I mean, to that, Nelson, I don't know if you're being fair. There's 6 airports that they're managing in India, and the amount of traffic that goes through at least one of them that I read about is like 5 to 7 million passengers a year, which is around JKIA's current capacity. So they do have experience, but speak to me about why specifically ADANI is problematic.
This one, well, I will not agree with you that they have experience, because this is the first time they're venturing into the airport business.
Outside of India?
No, even in India, it's the first time they are venturing into this. It's a very new business for them. And these are domestic airports in India. They don't manage international airports. They're building an international airport in India. So these domestic airports, you cannot say that this portfolio can be equivalent to JKIA.
On that, Nelson, actually, that's a good point. Before I hand over to Barak, one of the questions that I had while going through the details of the ADANI deal was, fine, ALG proposes that you should go through PPPs, right? But the government via KAA says no. After receiving the PIP from ADANI, says, okay, will go this route. It's that connection between jumping from PPP via the advice of ALG to a PIP. Did your sources ever intimate to you like who it was that put this deal together so that that justification would be made? Because it looks like that justification had already been thought about beforehand, and all that ADANI was doing is basically just putting in paper something that had been agreed on, off the record.
We cannot obviously, have like proof for this, but my sources told me, when the president went to India, met Prime Minister Modi, he also met ADANI. And the people who actually introduced ADANI to the president is Jayesh Saini.
And I think even December 2023 is an important date. The Hindenburg Research Group releases like an explosive report about the ADANI Group and how it's allegedly manipulating its stock prices, it's involved in fraud, money laundering, has offshore companies that have relationships to the ADANI, to the ADANI Group that it's cycling money through. And the valuation of the ADANI companies plummeted. Essentially, he was the second richest person in India. By the end of like 3 months, he wasn't even the richest person in Asia. Like that's how quickly everything descended. But Barack, actually, you have other questions for Nelson.
Make us understand how airports actually make money, their general operations.
Well, airports make money. It's just like a normal business. They have services, they provide services. So there is air services, land services. They have businesses running in the terminal buildings. They charge for landing fees. So when airlines land, they pay.
And that point, the lawyer would have looked at this deal would be the Attorney General. So my view is that I think prior to June 2025, the 25th of June 2024, I think the average Kenyan would have acted out of self-interest. But in my view, I think things have changed so fundamentally in our country that even the thinking of the average Kenyan has changed to the extent that there's like a larger consciousness that everybody's struggle is connected. And I don't know if I know even 10 people who've been able to impact on the country in the way that you have. My final question to you is, this is a random one. Are you single?
Yeah.
No, I was asking Barack is because that would be a fantastic opening line. I impacted the nation. I'm not like these regular guys. They wanna kupeleka Java. Me, I impacted the country. Guys were saying ADANI must go because of me. So nice to see a regular Kenyan just pick up the mantle and do something that's that's going to impact the country. We'll let you go now, but asante sana. Barack, thanks a lot for joining me for this edition. Yeah, the edition of The Big Picture. You'll catch us every week. But for now, asante sana. Thank you very much. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. Just